What's going on, guys? So I am at the Alamo Drafthouse in Raleigh, about to go check out Alien Romulus. As a point of reference, I would consider myself a moderate fan of the franchise. I love the first two, as most people do. The third one, I think if you can get past the very, let's just say, controversial 20 minutes, or opening 20 minutes, I think it's not a bad film. It's okay to good, in my opinion. Alien Resurrection is just complete trash, in my opinion. That is by far the worst entry. Prometheus, I would actually put underneath Alien and Aliens. I really think it's an underrated film and definitely one of the better installments. Alien Covenant, it's alright. It has its moments, in my opinion, not the strongest. And I would give my opinion of Aliens versus Predator films, but I haven't seen either of those, so I can't do that just yet. All that said, guys, I'm gonna go check this movie out and let you know what I think in just a couple
Two
hours. Peace
hours
out. Alright,
later.
so Alien Romulus was kind of awesome. It definitely was a return to basics for the franchise following Prometheus and Alien Covenant from a few years back that really took it in a more philosophical direction than, straight up horror and a sci-fi element, so to speak. I think the cast did a really good job between Kaylee Spaney playing the character of Rain, who's the main antagonist or main protagonist in the film. I think she's basically portrayed as a young Ripley, but that's not necessarily a bad thing because she's kind of given her own motivations and her own personality rather than just feeling like a simple knockoff of a more iconic character like Ripley. David Johnson plays this android. I want to say, I think his name was Andy, I believe. Yeah, it's this like cyborg android kind of character. I thought he did a fantastic job. He's one of those actors who, just by looking at his face, you can tell like so many emotions from the character, and I just thought it worked really well. And he gave such a gravitas to his performance that even though, yes, he's supposed to be this android and robot, you still relate to him as a character and you still want him to succeed. They also go an interesting direction with him in the second act that I'm not going to give away for spoilers' sake, but I thought it was honestly really brilliant. And the way they kind of bring that full circle in the third act really worked, in my opinion. The rest of the cast isn't super memorable, but at the same time, it doesn't have to be because it's an alien film and most, if not all, are going to be killed off by the end of the film, so who cares? The actors themselves, they do good enough in the role. That said, this movie is ballsy. I mean, I can't remember the last time I've seen a movie that does not care. I mean, Fede Alvarez does not care. If you think they're not going to kill somebody because, I don't want to give away spoilers, but let's just say because there's some sort of emotional attachment or you think they wouldn't go that far, would they? No, they go that far. There's lots of kills in this movie. Honestly, like I would say the movie in terms of like blood and gore is probably on par with Alien Covenant. It's a lot, but I remember hearing reports that like people were like vomiting on the set of this movie of how bloody and gory it gets. And for me personally, I really don't think it was all that. I mean, yes, it's bloody. Yes, there's quite a few gross out sequences, but either I'm just super desensitized or I was like, I've seen a lot more gory films even this year than that movie. But that's not to say that there aren't some incredible action sequences, some legitimate scares. I mean, this is a terrifying alien. Like, in terms of scariness, I think this is probably the scariest since the original Alien. I would have to think about that, but I might honestly be pretty sure. And then the action that I mentioned earlier is really well done. There's definitely quite a few callbacks to the Alien franchise as well. There's one scene in particular that takes place on this elevator shaft, and it ends. And again, I don't want to give away any spoilers, but the character of Andy does something and basically makes a really awesome callback to Aliens, and it just worked. There's one scene in particular where it involves like inverted gravity and they're having to avoid the substance in the air. And personally, I just thought that was really awesome. It was a really fun and inventive action sequence. Going off of that, I will say the first half of this movie, I was kind of like, okay, I'm starting to kind of feel like this is just a rehash of the first Alien. A very entertaining rehash, yes, but you could really tell that for that first half, I'm like, oh my gosh, they're actually going to just make this into kind of like how The Force Awakens is almost beat for beat like the original Star Wars. I was so concerned the first half of this movie that that's what they were going to do here. But then as you get into the second act, or the second half, I mean, they really flip it on its head to where I'm like, okay, so it's reminiscent, but it's doing its own unique thing and telling its own story and kind of putting its own spin on the lore, which I really appreciated. So that was kind of one negative that I had, but it didn't end up being a negative because, like I said, it was kind of a misdirect for the amazingly bombastic and just gutsy second half. The third act, I could definitely see, and again, no spoilers here, but I could definitely see some people finding it controversial. It doesn't involve, let's just say it doesn't involve something that you would expect from other films. That's all I'm going to say. It's kind of a little more distinct and unique. And for somebody that kind of wants that from long running franchises like Alien, I'm perfectly fine with it. But I could definitely see some people not enjoying it as much. Other than that, I think that's really all I got. It's one of those films where, it's somehow, I wouldn't say it's better than the first two Aliens, but I think it's right up there with it in terms of a legacy sequel that, if you can even call it that, that really just sticks the landing. It's kind of what I saw this with a buddy of mine in the theater, and as we were walking out, I looked to him and I said, I feel like Alien Romulus is like what Force Awakens tried to be to Star Wars A New Hope and failed, but here I feel like it actually succeeded. Like, I really feel as though they made this movie with the intention of making it a return to form, but never quite copying and pasting from the original. And yeah, I really love this film. There's not a whole lot in terms of negativity that I can say about it. I guess if anything, the pacing, I mean, it's a 2 hour movie, so it's not like it's not like it could be tightened up too much more. But I will say the pacing in the first act could kind of drag just a bit. But to be fair, I said that about the first Alien film as well. It's kind of more or less just the element of the films where they try to set it up, really slow burn the mystery and the horror, and then the big bombastic finale. So it's not really a negative, just one little thing I observed as kind of just oh, that doesn't, maybe quite work as well as it should. But anyways, guys, that's all I got for today. I'm gonna give it an 8.5 out of 10. I feel pretty confident in that. I think it's a very great film. If you get a chance to go and see this in theaters, please do. Please support movies like this that actually are good and not just corporate cash grab sequels like so many things that, especially when Disney gets their hands on it, gets churned out. So yeah, that's all I got for today, guys. Let me know what you thought in the comments. Did you love Alien Romulus? Did you hate it? Am I crazy? Am I right? And don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And with that said, I will catch you all later.